Hey everyone, it's Jim back with Freedom Music Factory, and with me is my good friend Tyler Shirelli.
How y'all doing, everybody? It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back, Tyler. Our videos have been doing pretty well together.
Yeah, dude, it's been a minute. You were on vacation. Got to hang out with Steve Gadd a little bit. We should probably talk about that at some point, but not in this video. Today, we're talking about Yamaha snare drums. We're talking about the Dave Weckl snare drum, and we're going to talk about the Maple Custom line as a whole and some things that Yamaha, because they're awesome, fixed. But we have some pre-dated drums from this problem. Jim?
Well, hey, these are a couple of drums that I got that actually Dave Weckl played in the clinic. We think it was at Explorers Percussion somewhere around 1991, 1992. Yep. And he had this whole black Maple Custom kit, which I acquired. And I acquired these two snare drums out at the clinic, and it was just a great day. And I've tracked these drums many times on my songs, and have since collected a whole bunch of Dave Weckl drums, all which I use, by the way. I think I'm up to 7 or 8, right?
Yeah, and you do. You use every one of them, and they all have a different sound to them. And they all, they're unique in their own ways, but they have some cool things we'll get into. Also, it should be known, you should pick these drums up and turn them.
Oh, yeah.
Weckl was nice enough to sign them for Jimmy here.
That's right.
Because that's how Jimmy does. That's a good thing.
So Dave and I are pretty good friends. I bought his cherry wood drum kit, which you see behind me.
Video coming soon.
Video coming later, and that is the famous Chick Corea Buddy Rich Memorial Scholarship master plan. Also in both of his drum videos. This drum kit right here was owned by Dave Weckl. So I bought that probably about 15 years ago. And so Dave and I talk a little bit, and he's been kind to help me and give me information and stuff like that.
Yep.
So anyway, these two snare drums, back from that era, we noticed that the lugs were starting to pop off a little bit. And Tyler and I are really good friends, and I think a lot of the reason is because he's a nice young man who's got a lot of knowledge, great musical ears for tuning, a multi-talented musician. And he comes in here and texts in my studio and does a lot of great things, helps me tune the drums, and he's just really got a good ear for that.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, and we noticed that these lugs were popping off, and we're both kind of OCD kind of people, so we just set up everything in here, and if something's not just right, we go after it. So I'm going to let Tyler talk about what's going on here with these lugs and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So this drum and this drum are both the 90s era. What Jim has in front of him is one of the anniversary drums, and the reason Jim pulled this out is you'll notice, as we talked a little bit about, there's the hole for the actual lug screw, and then there's a dowel, and that dowel is pretty genius. It's a little centering point so that the nodal point doesn't move around, right? That's a good idea. But there's some physics involved here, and I'm not great at math, but I know enough. Jim, hold that.
Yep. By the way, if you know what the difference is on the dowel markings, please let us know in the comments. And you can go to the head of the class and see if you're the first one to know what the difference is. Because,
maybe we might need to come up with a little giveaway for that.
Yeah, we might have to give away something.
We might have to figure it out. So we'll take a minute right now and just take a look. And if you know what we're addressing right now, make a comment. We'll get you something cool. We don't know what that is yet. We'll talk about it after.
Right.
But anyway, so all right, we're going to get into it. So Jim, I want you to hold that drum up. So what Yamaha originally did, and again, they corrected it. This is not a bash on Yamaha. They're awesome, and they realized this. But these drums predate it, and we're going to take care of it today. You can see some splay. The back of the lug is actually lifting off the shell when you put tension on it. This kind of flew under the radar for a minute because it doesn't happen on the toms and the kick. Even guys that were using them for bebop, you weren't putting that much tension, but the snare drums created a problem, and it started to lift up. So basically what I'm saying is, we're going to do this. I've already taken a couple off, and I'm actually going to show you a new lug and an old lug so you can see what's going on. So I'm going to hold up the lugs and the orientation, and you're going to notice my right hand, your left, this is the original. The screw is on the top, and my left hand is off the anniversary drum. It's on the bottom. So what I'm basically saying is when you put tension on these, I don't even really have to move them for you to see. When the butt end of the lug is anchored, it can't pull out. But the top of the original lugs caused it to splay. And if you did that long enough, let me remove the screw here. this metal would actually break. I had a drum kit, a Premier XPK, which Yamaha actually built those and had a lot to do with the hardware. They had similar lugs to this, and I popped 2 of them in the exact same manner as this. This lug casing right here will actually break off. Now, back in the day, you could get these lugs, and it wasn't that big of a deal. These days, you can't. And Jim takes great care of his gear, and we tried around here to take really good care of this stuff because we use it. So, today we're gonna fix the problem. Here we go.
Man, we are geeking out today.
Oh, this is the best part.
We are in the weeds.
So, special thanks to Supersonic Music, Derek and Michael over in Lawrence, Kansas. I went out there the other day, and they had these parts, and I started looking at them. And Jim and I had talked about this project for a while. We knew we wanted to do this, and it would be the best way to take care of it for the drums to be usable. But without measuring, and things get busy, and Jimmy has a lot of snare drums, so it kind of sat. So, as I yammer on here, as my dear friend Sean Tubbs says sometimes, I found the lugs, and yesterday I took this drum over there so I could actually make it happen. Check this out. Boom. Now this drum's going to be usable for years to come. The tube lug is still classy. The rest of the hardware on the drum is silver, or nickel if you will, chrome, whatever. They can order gold, but I wanted to go ahead and get this done for Jimmy so he can start using it because he's tracking a bunch of stuff. So, in this video, we are going to see the before and after, and we'll have some sound clips of this. I'm going to go ahead and start changing some lugs, and you'll notice if you own one of these drums, unless you're really looking and changing heads, it's hard to notice. So if you own an earlier Dave Weckl model or any Maple Custom snare drum from probably, I don't know the year, so I'm not going to try to guess, but look, another great way to notice. Jimmy, do you have that anniversary drum
right
next to you? This is a really good way to notice. Take a look at the inside, flip the back up there. Mm-hmm. Look how close the lug screws are. These are both 5-inch shells. Look how far away they are on this one. You can notice pretty well, or if you want to, just take the drum apart.
It's got to be at least 1.5 inches difference.
Yeah, but this is like a non-invasive. This is the other thing I wanted to point out. There's always different ways you can repair things, and if you want to drill into your drum, totally cool. These are signed, and they have a little bit of provenance. We did not want to do that. So this option allowed us to retrofit the shell, and at any point that Jim wanted to put it back for any reason, there's no drilling and no funny business in that manner. So these are ultimately tools, and they should be played. So however you want to deal with the problem, we're here to show you that there might be one if you don't know about it. And this is how we're going to fix it. So we were so busy talking, and I started to loosen up the shell, and me being a dingus, I forgot you might want to loosen the resonant head.
Because why, Tyler?
Well, if you don't, and you undo the lugs, they're going to pop off, and they'll scratch all the way up, or you'll hurt yourself. Don't do that either.
That would not be a good thing.
It would be, what happened to you? I was working on my snare drum and managed to hurt myself. That's a thing, I guess. But yeah, this bottom head is still good, so I do want to make it known if you're watching. I'm choosing not to undo all the strainers. I recently set these up right before we decided to do this. And it's an easy thing to do, but for the surgery we got to do today, I'm actually going to leave everything alone. And we're just going to loosen these up. I'll take these tension rods out and hand them over to Jim to set on the 13 there. And then we can put them all back. You know, I'm one of those weird guys. I love doing this. I love changing drum heads and guitar strings and all. That's cathartic to me. But I know so many guys that are like, that's like the bane of their existence. And it's totally cool.
Tyler knows what he's doing. Well, knows how to tune a drum.
Well, you certainly have plenty of that I was able to learn on.
Mm-hmm. I was planning a trip for my 60th birthday with my wife, and I found out that the Steve Gadd Band was playing in Las Vegas, and my wife and I really enjoyed going to Vegas because of the food and the shopping and the nice hotels and all that. And the Steve Gadd Band was having a show there, so I rerouted and changed my plans and ended up going to Las Vegas to celebrate my 60th birthday, and we saw the Steve Gadd Band, which sounded phenomenal, with Jeff Babco on keys and Mikey Landau on guitar, and then we had Travis Carlton on bass.
Mm-hmm.
And
Larry Carlton's son.
Larry Carlton's son, he's killing. And we had Walt Fowler on trumpet and Steve on drums, and Duke Gadd is part of the band now too, so he played percussion. So we got to hang out with them and hang out with Duke, and Carol was there and the whole gang, and it was great. And I made a memorable 60th birthday. Then later I got together at Steve's house and he signed my Life and Time book, and which was really great. And we talked about stuff and, you know, just celebrating our 60th birthdays together, which was really cool. Yeah. And Steve's always been so nice and inviting to me and complimentary to me. And I recently got to work with him finally on a couple of my songs he played drums on, and just so happy about that. And Steve's just such a great guy. And so anyway, that was a great 60th birthday, and Tyler asked me to share about that.
Heck yeah, man. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. And it's a testament to Gadd too, man. He's still an approachable. He just loves, it seems like all he still cares about is his family and playing music.
Right, he does. He cares about his family deeply, and
that's important.
Wants to spend time with them as much as he can. I played golf with Carlo Gadd one day out in Vegas too. That was fun.
Heck yeah.
His other son, and he's a golf nut now, so we're going to get to do that as we continue to age. We're going to play some more golf together.
Heck yeah.
That was really great. So anyway, how's that drum coming?
Man, I'm first taking all of these lugs off because what I'm going to do is clean. This is the first time these have been off since this drum was built.
Oh, you might as well clean.
It's always good to just kind of make sure the schmutz is removed. You know, that little maintenance stuff. You'd be surprised, man.
Shall I get the pledge?
You shall get the pledge.
I get the pledge.
I pledge that this drum will be clean. Wow, I just said that on camera, didn't I?
Do you have a microfiber?
Yeah, I got one right over here. Man, everything, I mean, it is well documented on this channel already, and we don't even have that many videos yet, relating to gear and things like this, that Yamaha's attention to detail is just silly. I went and saw the Smashing Pumpkins the other night. Jimmy and I are now planning a trip to go see them in Iowa, possibly.
Yes.
And Jimmy Chamberlain has his new recording custom kit out there. And dude, anybody, whether you're a fan of the Pumpkins or not, it's a clinic. The whole concert's a clinic. Here you go.
I'll do these.
There you go. And man, all Yamaha, the whole kit. And it was just, you know, Jimmy's playing first and foremost is what you're listening to, and that's what's important. And they have a wonderful front of house engineer. His name I don't know, but man, that guy really understood what was happening. But you could hear it, like you'll see the video. It probably won't come out before this one does, but we did the video on the Weckl kit back here, which is a recording custom. And they have such a sound, you know?
Mellow.
Like, it's punchy, and it gets out of the way. And Jimmy's drums the other night, it was just mesmerizing. It's like, you could hear that sound, you know? And I didn't realize this. You'll look at his kit, and it's got all absolute hardware on it. You know, and like Phoenix hardware. Jimmy had Yamaha do that. You know, it's a lot easier for head changes and very clean, less metal on the shells. And he made a comment online that maybe Yamaha will take note of that and start offering that, you know, on their other shells. It wouldn't be a recording custom without the long lug, though. You know?
No, it's not. But hey, it's his own thing. And those absolute hybrid maple Nuvo
they're
locks,
incredible.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be awesome, Yamaha, if that was.
It would speed up this video if we had them.
Oh, that's good.
But while he's doing that, I'll grab my Weckl Nuvo lug drum.
Yeah.
Let me go grab that.
Yeah, hop back there. So over the different eras, while it's not currently in production, Yamaha has made different versions of this drum for Dave. It's always maple, and he loves 8 lugs, not 10. And so you'll also notice that these are more vintage style 8-lug drums with the dual strainer, one for tight, one for loose. And it's not just a gimmicky thing, man. Like, that actually really, it's a thing. And I've gotten to hear Jim track with it a lot, and I've owned a couple of these myself, and they're fun.
I gotta say, these Nuvo lugs are really cool. They're easy to pop on and pop off. And this is a very special snare drum because they really didn't make very many of these. They weren't around very long. And I've recorded this many times. I like it. I mean, it's just, they're all great. Most of them are maple, some of them brass, some of them are aluminum. But I mean, these drums are just fantastic in the mix. These Weckl snare drums. There's something about the double strainer and when we mic it underneath and just the other mic on top, and how they work together with the so many snares covered here. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I keep going back to these Weckl snares, even though I have many others to choose from. And they all really sound good, but these have a special presence in the mix. So anyway, I just wanted to show you these Nouveau lugs, and this was one of the special editions of the Weckl snare that I did acquire.
Yeah, I will say too, and I think it was that drum. You know, Dave tends to tune his snares a little higher, and with the 8 lugs, you know, it definitely changes the feel, and you get more pop and a little more open and whatnot. But Jimmy, you have a tendency sometimes to actually like tune these down a little bit and muffle them. These are not just for high cracky like fusion and jazz stuff. Like they really, testament to Dave and Yamaha. Like these drums tune up and down the range really nice.
They got a lot of throat, man. I don't know when you hit it, just even though they're shallower, you know, they're not. I do have a 6.5, but most of these are 5.5 or 5, and man, I'm telling you, they just really have a great presence in the mix. I like the whole collection.
Celebrate the entire catalog.
Yeah, we got the black brass one.
That's my favorite.
When that came out for the 30th anniversary, and I guess I'll go ahead and get the piece of paper that came with it, the authenticity paper. I guess I'll go get that real quick.
Yeah, that brass one, that's my favorite one of all of them, but I like brass drums. I'm a big Black Beauty fan, and I think that's just a quintessential piece of, you know, drum sound.
So when I got the 30th anniversary drum, just bought it by itself, celebrating Dave's 30 years with Yamaha, and last year we celebrated his 40 years with Yamaha. But I opened it up and look what I found. Look at this picture.
Oh,
I was
familiar.
like, oh my goodness, there's my snare drum. And there's my left floor tom right there in this picture. And if you go look at that kit from behind me, you'll see Weckl's 493 snare drum right here. So it's really cool. The brass piccolo that Vinny and him played and so many others did back in the 80s and 90s. So there it is. So that's cool. How we coming, Tyler?
Good, we got 6 of the 8, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these down. Make sure you go around a couple times when you're done. Don't over tighten, but make sure you tightened, period. Otherwise, you'll get this all tuned up the way you love it, you'll be having a good time, and you'll start hearing rattles, and these darn screws will be loose.
That's not good.
I've done it so many times in a hurry.
The moment of truth, we're gonna see if it's gonna work.
Yeah, I'm putting this lug on regardless, because it's gotta be.
Yeah, and we got to have clearance on this double strainer
Dude,
holder. Are we there?
it works. There's no play.
Oh my goodness! So
We got clearance, Clarence.
how much is it touching the
It's
tube
touching.
lug?
It's touching, but I mean, it's right there, man.
Well, maybe when you tighten it down, it'll pull it towards the drum, and it won't even be touching the plastic.
Let's find out. Holy cow.
Let's make sure we get a good close-up on this, because if anybody attempts this, you guys need to know what you're in for here.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't need to take everything fully apart. Check this out. Like, I intentionally kind of left these in here to hold all the plastic parts. There's a lot of washers. Another thing I'll recommend, and you're not stupid for this, take pictures if you're not used to doing this stuff. Take video it, set up your phone, take pictures along the way. Like, there's certain different washers they use. And if you're mechanically inclined, awesome. If you're not, that's totally okay.
Let's kind of show them what you're doing here, Tyler.
Yeah,
Maybe
so-
flip it around towards the camera a little bit.
Yeah. So they have the actual string slot, like, I can't think of the word I want to use right now, but the guide, that's what I want. They've got the guide in there for that. And then this strainer goes right on top of it. So they really killed a lot of birds with one stone with how they put this together, which is great. Dude, clean living, as my buddy Jimmy says. I think this is gonna work out really nice, man. I am not bothered by that in the slightest. It does touch, but there's no play here. So I'm gonna say fair game, and we're gonna go ahead and continue. Whew! That would have stunk, man. I mean, I have no problem building something for it, but
Well, we don't want to do too much retrofitting.
no.
No, we're not into that. We like everything original parts, no drilling,
Yeah, no drama.
no drama.
No drama.
So
All right. So yeah, you're gonna need to take that off and do that, and that's cool. There we go.
I couldn't have done this. This is what Tyler does really so well. You know, I'm not very mechanically inclined.
You're the one that plays them, buddy.
Yeah. But I have other strengths, and I know what they are, and I know what my weaknesses are. So
yeah, dude.
That's why Tyler's here, because he actually loves this stuff.
I live for it.
So as he's taking off the other part of the snare
Yes, sir.
holder, and
Let's see if I just bought you a new resonant head too.
This will be the butt plate, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're removing the butt plate, and we're going to have to go through the same thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, let me loosen these, and then I'll let you hold this. I have found too, instead of picking up, setting down, picking up, it should be known, we're working around the bearing edge. Like, this is going to damage it. I like to do all my screwdriver work at one time, so I'll loosen everything. I'm going to hand that over, and now I can undo just, you know, loosen it with the fingers and undo all of this, so I'm staying away from the bearing edge. If you want, feel free to cover it with a cloth. I probably should do that, but I'm pretty used to doing this stuff, so, you know. All right, here we go. We're going to loosen this just a hair. These guides can come out just like the other side. See, we're gonna drop those guides down. Everything's safe, it's just hanging by the string.
They're long screws that hold this plastic thing. That was good.
So you'll notice I'm just leaving it sitting there. I don't need to take the whole thing apart for any reason. So we're just gonna do that. Jimmy, what was your birthday meal?
My birthday meal, I was so busy going to concerts, I didn't really have, I celebrated my birthday meal the next night, which was August 11th. So my birthday meal on August 10th, I think, I met with John Wackerman and his lovely wife, Linda. They took me out to Brio Italian. We had a lunch and a supper, and they had a cake for me for my birthday, and then we all went to see the Steve Gadd Band. And afterwards, my wife and I hightailed it to see Seinfeld, and we were like at the 8th row at the Caesar's Palace to see Jerry Seinfeld do some comedy.
Now,
so it was a great night.
John Wackerman, Chad's brother, and Brooks.
Brooks' brother,
who, what a cool drumming family. Totally both clinician level drummers, but such different styles.
Right, and then you've got the brother Bob, who's a bass player.
Yes,
so
that's right.
4 Wackermans. And they're all heavily influenced by their dad. Their dad taught them. Kind of like Greg Bissonet's dad had a big impact on him playing drums. And John is just a great friend of mine. And I record in his studio in Las Vegas. And Linda's a great singer, and his wife. And we've had a great relationship for years now. And so we're about making memories. You know, life's short. None of us are promised tomorrow. So it's important that we celebrate the milestones.
Heck right, dude.
And do it with things we like to do, which I love music. That's kind of my big passion outside of my day job. And then, you know, I love to make music and enjoy music and spend time with great musicians and friends. That's what we did. Looks like you're getting it done.
Man, all we have left to do
It cleared, huh?
It cleared. It does touch.
It does touch.
But I mean, ever so slightly, to the point where I am much happier letting it touch than putting gaskets and building gaskets and stuff, which would be fine. And I'm going to monitor it. I know that sounds a little silly. We're going to get everything tensioned up. You know, we're going to put tension on all this. And, you know, I'll monitor it and see how it's doing. And
so, hey, it's all finished. Why don't you show it up and give it a spin around and show everybody.
Dang.
So there it is.
There it is. Not a bad look.
No.
Obviously, you can see the nodal points. I don't mind because we ain't drilling.
That's right.
But you know what's great? This drum's now 100% playable, and I feel confident tuning this up for Jim and cranking it. We will be doing this on the 13 as well. That's right there. Probably order some gold lugs for that because, you know, I was so excited to do this. I got the silver. We should do gold.
We should. We have one of each.
Gold. We're so OCD. Like, why in the world did I let this happen? How could I have let this happen?
Well, you know, that way I can always know that this 13 is the gold. And
that's exactly
silver
right.
is the 14, in case I got them confused. Not really, but...
Speaking of bearing edges, thank God this is rubber lined. As we set that like this. Tighten that a little more. And we are ready.
I'll start putting these in.
Yeah, dude, we're ready to come back into the atmosphere here, man.
That's right.
Everything's lining up really well. I will let it be known. I know some guys may want to do this, and it's totally cool. I did not put gaskets underneath these lugs. With stuff like this, I like as much physical contact between the different materials as possible. The original lugs have a little plastic washer, which is great. I've seen guys use felt. I don't want to do that. And it doesn't make a ton of difference, but every little bit is a, cumulative.
We're missing some. Here we go.
We got them. Should be 2 more.
I'm sure we have another one somewhere. I don't have any more on this drum.
Well, figured that out. Couldn't have gone far. Couldn't have gone too far.
I'm thinking it's over there.
You guys see it? Is this Where's Waldo of... Can you count and see if there's 8 in there?
Yep. Here's one right here.
Perfect. All right. There should be 8 from the top of the head because I brought it over.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we got 8. So the lost lug went in this bag. How did that happen, Tyler?
Because I put it in there because I have learned over the years, always keep your sandwich-sized freezer bags for all your parts.
That's a good part. That's a good thing to do.
I have an entire drawer at my studio with just Jimmy's drum parts in it, all in different bags and labeled from different stuff we work on so that I always know where that stuff is if we need it. And this is no different. All right.
These Weckl snares are hard to find.
They are.
And this is starting to get a little bit twisted and stuff.
I will say, if you run out of the Weckl snares, I have done some research on this. I picked up an aluminum that Jim now has. We did a little horse trading. I bought it as an experiment. Get some 13-inch. Don't buy 14. If you have a 14-inch Weckl drum, get 13 if you have a 13-inch by 12 because they're not centered. You're actually going to be off a little bit, and the actual sizes that you'll have on these won't fit, and you'll be frustrated and have to go take them back. So, and if you have 16 strand, or even if you can get 14 strand, the better, because then you have more of the bottom of the head that can resonate. So I recommend that very much.
So yeah,
Bam.
I know from Dave personally that he tunes one of these super tight and another one looser.
Yeah, and one's carbon and one's steel.
Right, so we're gonna make this one that's kind of a little ratty. We'll make that the tight one.
Yeah.
And then we'll make the other one the loose one.
Perfect. All right, we're halfway there, so it's coming together.
Okay, time to put the top better head on.
Yep. Jim, I gotta tell you this. Jim knows that my OCD for drum heads is on another level, and I'm obsessed with like drum heads being new.
Right.
I currently have Jimmy's Gretsch kit at my studio, and on my Gretsch kit and yours, I used drum heads.
Well, hey.
It's a big step for me, and you know what? They sound great.
That's right.
They sound great. You can save money on heads.
Steve never wants to change a head, man.
Dude, there's a drummer named Greg Morrow in Nashville.
I know Greg.
I'm sure you know of Greg.
DeGarmo and Key. He was in the Christian group DeGarmo and Key, and then he also was a great studio musician in Nashville for years. He's recorded around. And you've got an Evans.
Yeah, I found a G14 in there. Still has a ton of life. And actually,
I'd rather have the Remo.
That'd be pretty cool. I'm an unabashed Remo guy as well. This will be a really good sounding head on here. All right. It's an old Remo Legacy. Dude, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Greg Morrow has a kit called the Green Monster. It's an old Slingerland kit. And one of my buddies was telling me he hasn't changed heads on that kit in years. So if you actually know Greg, or Greg, you see this and you're watching and I'm wrong, I apologize. But I've heard that from more than a few people that, get them nice and broken in and you play them.
Yep. Yeah, Tyler's always coming over here and like changing out my heads. I'm like, let him sit, dude.
And I'm learning. I'm learning to just enjoy, let it lie. Let the ball lie.
I can't see what I'm doing over there, but
you're doing it. You're doing good. We got one more?
One more, we do.
Heck yeah.
Everything's accounted for.
My gosh. All right. Here we go. The last one, we'll get her tuned up. I'm sitting over it, so I can't really see it. I'm so stoked to see this finished. I feel like it's actually gonna look really classy.
I might try and play Crazy Army on this thing.
You know how to play that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played it. But seems fitting.
Sounds like a snare drum.
Yes, sir.
Hold that for a minute. Man.
Pop, pop.
Switch me spots, Jimmy.
I'll try. Been a minute. Well, that's not too bad for him.
Not too bad at all.
I haven't played it in quite a while.
All right, folks, it's been an honor. I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy put back together that we use as an example. And Jimmy and I are gonna go enjoy this drum now.
That's right.
Good Lord intended it. So thank you all for watching.
Yeah, man. And stay tuned for more videos and more of my songs that I'm writing and producing and playing on. You'll get to hear me play more on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find other things to break so we can make videos on how to fix them.
I'm gonna let that be the end.
Y'all be well.
Thanks,
Talk to you
Tyler.
next
Bye-bye.
time.